Both sides obviously have been called out for heated rhetoric. You've got 48 days going towards the election day. Do you see this being toned down at all moving forward?
Well, no. I mean, it was toned down for maybe 12 hours, and yesterday was probably a little bit more muted, although you saw the vice president had no trouble doing an extended soliloquy about all that's wrong with Donald Trump, although not necessarily using his name. I have to say again that both sides engage in inflammatory rhetoric. Donald Trump has engaged in more inflammatory rhetoric than anyone I've ever covered. But the problems, besides the fact that he's the one who's been under assault physically, the problem is, as long as the media has completely unequal accountability for it, doesn't mean they should hold people arbitrarily equally accountable. But to ignore the inflammatory statements, which have been well publicized by the Trump campaign, to ignore the inflammatory statements of the Democrats and act like it's only one side, and then to say, and that side deserves what it gets, that's why the American people, in large numbers, have no respect for or appreciation for the dominant media. And it's a big reason why Donald Trump may win the election if he lives, because people can see how outrageous the double standard is.
Mark, you sat down with a focus group and spoke with undecided voters. And one topic that came up was Trump speaking about Springfield at the debate.
I mean, a normal person would, even if you see that on social media or what, you would say, oh my gosh, is this true? Did it happen? Let's look into it, especially if you're running for president. Did this happen? You know, you would seek outside help to figure all that out. And so that tells me he's maybe not seeking quite as much outside help as he needs to.
Not every question needs to be dignified with an answer. I think I would have just shut that down and saying, I don't know about this. I don't know enough about this. Let's talk about something serious, not about cats and dogs in Springfield.
Both of your take on this. Mark, I'm going to start with you. Governor DeWine has come out and said these immigrants from Haiti are there legally. They're really helping the economy. He has really kind of backed away from this while still supporting President Trump. Kind of a tricky little dance that he's having to do. It sounds like that one undecided voter, the first one, that lady, kind of said the same thing. Like, couldn't you have picked up the phone, made a phone call, and kind of cleared this up? Because that could have really been a good conversation supporting legal immigration.
Yeah. The folks in the focus group, all undecided voters from the battleground states, were unanimous in condemning that moment from the debate and, in general, their belief about Donald Trump. They used extraordinarily unflattering adjectives to describe him. And it seemed, given all the doubts they had about Kamala Harris, that this is really their big hang-up. It's policy for her, but it's personality for him. Some people are theorizing that by talking about the cats and the dogs, he's got the topic is immigration, and that works to his favor. But there's no doubt that these independent voters, undecided voters, are representative of undecided voters across the country. There's no doubt that that kind of behavior turns them off and keeps them from voting for the person who they think would be a better commander-in-chief and who's even, they said, more mainstream than Kamala Harris.
Then, Joe, I also want to get your take on this. And considering what's happening now to these people in Springfield, it's just terrible to see bomb threats at the schools, bomb threats at the hotels. Is this backfiring on the former president?
Oh, look, it's horrible. But I think we should be able to have a nuanced conversation here. Number one, the people that showed up at that press conference were not paid actors in the name of MAGA Nation. They were real Americans who were talking about what they were seeing with their very own eyes in their very own town. The other part of that is I do believe, to Mark's point, and perhaps to the focus group's point, that it was a missed opportunity. The reality is most of the Haitians that are in this country legally, by virtue of the fact that Haiti has been destabilized, it stems from the fact that, once again, there was an unprecedented, massive intelligence failure on the watch of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, where the president of Haiti was assassinated less than 800 miles from the U.S. border with co-conspirators that were living in Miami, Florida, and Tampa Bay, Florida. So it has to start there once again. Another failure of national security implications by the Biden-Harris administration that drove Haitians to places like Springfield, and cities all across this country are going bankrupt because their open border policies, their foreign policy failures have led us to being a nation on the brink. That's the story. I think that's what Republicans should be focused on. And I think anytime we're talking about dogs and cats and ducks, we're probably losing more votes than we're gaining.